Hey everybody, it's Candice Adewale. How are you all doing? I am back with yet another video. Happy hump day to everybody. I hope you all are doing well, that you all have had a great, start to your week already, and that you are achieving some of the things that you set out to achieve this week. I know that I am. And today I want to talk to you all about a subject that I feel is very, very important to me, and that is authentic sisterhood. I guess the question really is, can we have authentic sisterhood in 2019 going into 2020? It's something that I often question, especially when I see a lot of things that I see on social media, on YouTube, in Facebook groups. It's really interesting to see the way women, especially women who claim to be feminine, decide to behave when it comes to their interactions with other women and women they claim that they want to have a sisterhood with. So, I really feel that forming a sisterhood is very important. It is a very important part of being a feminine woman and living a consciously feminine lifestyle. And the reason for that is sisterhood allows you to do a few things, and that mainly be build community, form alliances, including forming alliances outside of your normal group or community. Introducing children to potential partners. I really feel that that's important nowadays. I know that a lot of people find dating rough in 2019. I only imagine how it will be for our daughters when they become of age. So I think having a sisterhood in which you can, and building alliances in which you can introduce your children to quality spouses is really important. And also being able to raise your children in a circle of women the way that they were meant to be raised is really important. And one reason why I really emphasize building a strong sisterhood. It doesn't have to be a lot of women, but a few core women that you can really trust. I oftentimes see women looking to their husbands to provide support with the children that should actually be filled by sister friends. And before anybody decides to go all the way left with what I just said, I am not saying that a woman's husband should not help with child rearing, with discipline, or help his wife out sometimes so she can have a break. I am not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is, I see a lot of women who are tired and run down from being with the kids, and then they turn to their husband who is working all day or has a variety of stresses on him, and they want him to um, help with the kids in a way that if they had a strong sisterhood, they wouldn't feel so overworked or so desperate for their husbands to take on the load of the kids as soon as he walks in the door or whatnot. So that's what I'm saying, just to clear that up. So, I believe that a lot of this comes from the result of living independent lifestyles, especially in the States. A lot of us live either away from our parents or, we don't live in closer communities. We live in cities. And a lot of times we live as though we're an island rather than living life interdependently, where you have core people that you can really really trust. Living here in Italy, I see a little different family dynamic going on. And so, grandparents are a really big part of children's lives here. And, I see where people have more of a support for their children here. So I see that what I'm speaking about is actually possible. It is actually beneficial. However, in the States, because we've gotten away from a lot of that and we're more focused on, money and getting things, and we've kind of neglected that. So that those are a few of the reasons why I feel sisterhood is so important. Um, the problem I think that comes with authentic sisterhood is usually when it comes time to either keep it real, or something happens where someone's feelings are hurt, or something really, or not just, feelings are hurt, but something might occur where um, boundaries are crossed, and and then you just fall out. And I think that's the problem that lies with sisterhood, because it's really easy, I believe, to have those types of friends. Like, I call them fluffy friends. The kind of friends that are just like, "Oh girl, you are so pretty. Don't listen to him." And they, the kind of friends that just pump you up and tell you everything that you want to hear, not necessarily what you need to hear. And I find long term, those friends are really not beneficial for you, because you need friends that are going to keep you accountable in order for you to grow. And yeah, I want to share my story with you all. And I kind of hesitated to share this story simply because the person, the sister friend that I personally fell out with, is someone who is near and dear to my heart, but they are also a very popular and well known social media person and a personality. And so, because of that, I'm not going to say anything that's going to reveal their identity, because I really don't want to add injury to the situation, and nor do I want to create further drama. But I feel like this story, of what happened to um, this particular sister friend and I's relationship, is kind of relevant to the conversation. And so I'm going to just kind of try to make a very long story short. So, um, this sister friend and I, we have known each other for a while, like a long time. Probably, I know I was still married at the time when I met her. So we had to be friends for like 9 years or so. Yeah, 9 years, because I was still married when I met her. And she was also there during my divorce. So yeah, so it has to be like 9 years by now that we were actually friends. And she's someone that I actually consider a sister. Like, I don't have very many like, I don't have a biological sister. I have two biological brothers, but I always wanted to have a sister, because um, for me, my brothers always kind of ran and did their own things, and they, they were on the streets doing their own thing. So I almost felt like I was the only child most of my life. I never really had like best friends, or really, you know ran with a bunch of girls or anything like that. I may have had like one or two core friends that I hung with, but um, I always wanted a sister. So my sister Amelia and this other woman, I consider them to be sisters. I mean, to the point that it was kind of funny the way everything happened. The week before we fell out, I was actually considering adding her son to my will, because that's the way I felt about her, like a real family member. So it was really hard when we fell out. And what happened was, I've always been the kind of person that was open to interracial marriage and interracial dating. It's not something that I necessarily shared with a lot of people, especially in my community, because I it's looked really down upon when Black women in particular decide to date non-Black men. So I would usually keep my feelings to myself. So a lot of people who know or know me very well prior to the time that I met this woman knows that, I've always been down with the swirl. Mostly Hispanic men, but, I've dated a little bit of everybody here and there. So it was no biggie for me. So, anyways, if you've been following me for any length of time, you will know that one of the reasons that I decided to come to Rome is so that I could expand my dating options. I just figured that, whenever I travel overseas, I always have much better luck dating. I'm able to find men that I actually like because honestly, I don't care for dating American men like that, to be very honest with you. And I find that European men just are really open minded and they like to do a lot of the same activities that I like to do. And I just feel like I click with their energy a lot better. So, in particular, I met somebody that I really liked. And on top of that, I figured, well, I can date, multiple guys and, just have a good time. So I decided to do that because I found myself in a particular situation where I was like, I'm 40 years old. I've been divorced for a while now, and I might as well just do something bold and brave and new and prioritize my love life. So, I was talking to her because I had gotten to a point where, I was just like, I'm kind of tired of the dating process. And, I just kind of want to take a break. So we're talking over the phone, and she makes the comment that she's like, well, I really don't know how you're going to find somebody that can really relate to you over there, quote unquote. When she said that, I knew what she meant. She meant that she doesn't know how a non-black man, I'm going to find someone to relate to me because of the person's skin color. And, I told her just straight up, I was like, me being African American is only one small part of who I am. Like it is a big part of who I am and my identity. However, that's not the only part of me because even if I were dating, all black guys, not every black man is going to be someone that I like or get along with because everybody at the end has different personality types, different likes, different dislikes, different values. And so for me, I just thought like it was a little crazy for her to say that. However, because of who she is and what she does and what she talks about, I know that, I was not terribly surprised, but I was still kind of hurt by what she said to me because it was really hurtful. It got to a point in the phone conversation where, you know, we decided we needed to just drop the subject because she, started saying, well, maybe you feel the way you feel because you have daddy issues or you have problems with your daughter's father, et cetera, et cetera. So, I was just like, okay, whatever. We moved on to another subject. And but I was still very hurt. I won't lie. I was very hurt about it. And so, I wrote her an email because I was very nervous about the confrontation. And I just said, hey, I really need to talk to you because you hurt my feelings when you implied that I have daddy issues. Or that I have negative feelings towards, my daughter's father, because I don't consider black men my top choice. Because that's what I told her. I don't consider black men my top choice for a variety of reasons, which she did not ask me what those reasons are, but whatever, that's irrelevant. And I spent a great deal of time healing from a lot of my issues, and so it was that's basically what I said. And her thing is that she kind of, wrote me back saying that to generalize Black men and then speak so highly of European men is hurtful. And, you know, she went, she went on and on and on about the fact that um, maybe the reason why, I feel the way I feel is because, you know, she's like, I'll read you exactly what she said. She's like, um, I just want you to be more positive, opposed to saying black men don't travel, because I like men who like to travel. You can say I look forward to traveling together. She's like, I think we attract what we expect. And she's like, the reason why you don't attract quality black men is because European men are getting all of your smiles and sweetness and high respect and yada yada, which is not true. I treat all men with respect. And so basically she went on and on to say that you know that she didn't agree with me, but that she felt like she, whatever, that's my choice. That was my choice. And but what happened next after this conversation is the fact that I started seeing her making a lot of Facebook videos and posts about black men and how you're supposed to love a black man. And then she made some comments that I strongly felt were directed towards me because they were specifically about the conversation that we had had, and it was very hurtful. So what I did is I decided that I needed a small social media break from her. So I just kind of deleted her from unfriended her on Instagram from my main account. She was still on my other accounts because I have like three different accounts on my main account, and she was still on Facebook. So, anyways, from that point, like I said, I'm trying to make a very long story short. From that point, I was still communicating with her. We were still talking. We were still texting each other back and forth, sending videos back and forth, um, everything. And so I was like, I don't even know if she realizes I'm off her social media, because we really didn't communicate anyways on social media that much. So 3 or 4 months later, like literally 3 or 4 months later, she messages me asking me, did I delete her from social media? And I responded, and what I said, this was through text message. I said, hey, hun, I know it's very early in the morning there. I think, in short, yes, I did, but it was almost 2 or 3 months ago. So I was like, it can't even be that serious because we've been talking via text and phone since then, and you never noticed. And then I let her know that I was like, ever since you and I had the conversation about why I don't consider black men my top choice, I felt that many of your posts on interracial marriage regarding black women were low key directed at me, or at the very least due in part to our conversations. Some things you post on your page I can get with, some things I disagree with, but usually just keep it scrolling. Those posts, however, hit me differently because you have such strong opinions. You don't like when anyone disagrees with you, and I've even seen you cuss people out on your page, call women bitches on your posts when they have equally strong opposing opinions as yours. And I say all this because I remember when you got upset with me a few times because of the Facebook posts I made. Because she did one time got really upset at one of the Facebook posts that I made. And I actually deleted the post from Facebook because I was like, you know what? Our sisterhood is worth more to me than Facebook posts. So I took it down. So, anyways, I went on and on to just kind of explain why I did that I still loved her, and that if you want to, that we can talk whenever she was ready to talk about it. And I told her I hope that this won't really majorly affect our relationship and everything like that. And for a little while we were still communicating, and then one day I noticed like it just seemed like something had shifted. And so I asked her just straight up, like, are you still mad at me? And I was like, we both know that shouldn't be a big deal. For me it wasn't a big deal. The way I viewed it was just like two family members that have opposing political views. We just need to talk this out and wash, water under the bridge and keep it moving. And her response to me was so ultimately shocking. It like really shook me to my core. When I asked her, did she want me to continue to reach out to her? She said to me, quote unquote, I really don't like when people do shady things and play victim. It's not a matter that's so simple as am I mad or not? I was never mad. I just feel like this is so forced at this point. You delete and block me out of your life because of my online energy. I'm not going to say exactly what she said because that will probably reveal her identity. It's like, but everything I say online is how I feel and what I believe. So if I was killing you that bad that you had to block me, why would you still want to be in my face? I just feel confused. I can't even imagine the things that you said to me behind my back. I clearly bother you. It's okay to be two different people going in two different directions and still love each other, but realize we have simply grown apart. I would never, she said, I would use the word mad at you, but but I would say I'm sad for you. I've watched you go through so many different phases and attempts for husband, from uh, the quote unquote woke people to Muslims, which I was so confused by that because I was actually married when I was a Muslim. So I was not checking for anybody, and I definitely was not checking for any men that claim to be quote unquote woke. Um, that was not working. So now the problem is black men and moving to Italy. You cutting off all of your real friends so you can swirl in peace, get a straight weave in attempts to get a white man. It hurts me to watch. I realize the problem wasn't me. It just baffles me that of what you have within yourself. I still love you, Maya and Mom, and still want to share things with you when my business is launched. But outside of that, it feels so fake and forced, and our life views are so different that one is detrimental to the other. So that was the last message that she sent me, and it was really hurtful to me because, first of all, I definitely don't like to be psychoanalyzed when people don't have all the facts about me. So there were a lot of things that I realized she just didn't realize about me, and that were true. And so at the time, it was really, really hurtful, And I haven't spoken to her since then. Um, but I think what hurt me the most is the fact that I truly felt like she was my real sister. And so I didn't expect for her to just, kind of just cut things off the way that she did. I would have at least expected like a phone call or something like that. I don't know if any of y'all have ever experienced any kind of fallout like that, but it was really crazy. I realized, as I was like trying to work through the emotions, I was just like, women will forgive men for all sorts of crazy things. Like women continuously, every single day, forgive men for cheating, for stealing money, for driving all the gas out of their car, for beating their kids, for eating their kids' cereal, for sexual abuse, for physical abuse, for not having a job. I mean, the list can go on and on. So for me, I felt like, okay, social media, like social media is not even real life. Like like it was clear that you clearly got your feelings really, really hurt, and instead of just talking about it, you didn't. But it, like I said, it caused me to just kind of really think about things in regards to sisterhood and how we relate to each other. And I partially blame cancel culture, and I do want to talk about that a little bit because nowadays we have like this cancel culture where people will just say, you know what, you're canceled, that's canceled, and I understand like some things need to be canceled. I do. Some things and some people really do need to be canceled, but I think that if you are talking about a relationship with a person who is a true sister friend, you really need to evaluate what value that person brought to your life versus the relationship infraction. Because, I mean, how are you going to maintain any significant relationship long term if you're just so quick to just be like, you know what, you're canceled? You see all these memes floating around like, if they don't support you, cut them off. If they this and that, cut them off. And I totally get that. Some people need to be cut off. But the second that there is a relationship infraction and you, especially one that's petty or not severe, and you just decide, like, I don't want to talk to that person anymore, that is like, wow, it's really serious to me. And I think that cancel culture has caused people to become passive aggressive. I think that it has increased people's arrogance. It contributes to people being stubborn, prideful, unwilling to apologize, unwilling to budge, unwilling to compromise, and totally uncommitted truly to maintaining any real relationships. And so after this situation that I had with this particular sister friend, I realized how important it is to just create a conflict plan, to think before you speak. Because as I look back, I realized that there are some things that I probably just should have done differently, and that I would have done differently had, if I could go back in time and do. Just because I feel like I could have handled certain things, in a better way. Not saying that that would have you know kept us together, but maybe it would have, and I'm humble enough to kind of look at things and and reevaluate my actions. I think that, aside from thinking before you speak, reciprocation in female relationships are very important because, the female relationship dynamic is a little bit different from your male female relationships, especially your romantic relationships. And there definitely should be like the give, the push and the pull, the give and the receive. And that's why reciprocation is so important. I remember a few years ago, I actually pulled back from chasing female relationships because I realized that they can be exhausting, like as exhausting as it would be to like chase a man that you like. And I suggest you do that. If you feel like you're the only one or you're the main one giving in all your relationships, pull back about 60 to 75% and see who steps up to call you or invite you places or pass by your house. I know a few years ago, I did that. And like most of my friends, quote unquote, so called friends, fell off. People that I really loved, people that I really cared. And ironically, they act like, I noticed their attitude, like whenever I would finally call them, their attitude was cold, like I did something to them. When in reality, all I did was I just stopped calling. I stopped inviting because I realized I was the main person doing this. And it really hurts to realize that you are so invaluable in people's lives. I think that's what that realization did for me. And I think for me being here in Europe, I actually get invited out more than I did back in the States. And I realized that the culture is a little bit different. And so I don't think people realize when they're being selfish in their friendships. I guess, I guess that's my realization. But also I feel that perhaps People make time for what they want to make time. And you just have to learn to accept that, when people are making time for what they want to prioritize, that you just might not be the priority. And so that's what I just had to accept when I decided to pull back from all of my relationships. It was very sobering for me to just sit back and watch people that I always talk to and really care about and think about. I'm always thinking about the people that I care about and, if they're okay, if they need anything. And when I stopped calling to see that, like, nobody would even call me to just say, "Hey, Candace, how are you doing?" It was like, wow, it was an eye opener for sure. So, I know that everybody gets busy, especially, when you have kids, you have a husband. However, you should still make time for your significant sister friend relationships. You should not neglect them, especially if they live close by and you all are working together to create a true support system. Some of the things that I think that can help women to create a stronger sisterhood and one that is lasting is, one, talk out your problems and don't text them. I know that I feel like that may have been one of the biggest reasons why, um, when I look at my sister friend that we fell out, that maybe talking may have helped. um, because some things don't need to be said via text message. Give space for hurt feelings. It's okay if you feel like your feelings are hurt. I believe that as a woman, that you have anybody, rather male or female, but I'm speaking to women, so I believe that as a woman, you have a right to your feelings. And sometimes the feelings are not going to feel good. You might get your feelings hurt, and that's okay. And I think that if a sister friend comes to you and says, like, okay, my feelings are hurt over this, that you should apologize, or and not just apologize, but also validate the person's emotions. I can say I can say today I have not been a perfect friend, but one thing that I'm really glad that I do, and one thing my mom really encouraged us to do since we were very small, is, validate people's emotions and to apologize if we have done something wrong, if I did something wrong to somebody. At the same time, don't be overly sensitive, because sometimes you have people who are overly sensitive and they get hurt about every little thing. And I know some people like that too. I mean, they get their feelings hurt over every little thing and they're not understanding at all. And when you're overly sensitive, I think sometimes it can come from a very selfish place. You haven't allowed yourself to be in someone else's shoes or thought out the various scenarios that there, could be going on with a person. Use feminine communication. Lace it with love. Um, I think that a lot of times we say keep it real. Yes, keep it real, but don't be hurtful about it. Make sure that you are being loving. In my particular situation, when I look back, I realized that there were a lot of things that she wanted to say to me, but she just never said. And so when she got a chance to say them, she just kind of like really went in on me. Um, And so you have to lace the truth with a lot of love, um, when you are telling the truth as well. And don't be petty. Petty. I think social media just has allowed people to just really be petty. But when it comes to sister friends that you want to maintain, being petty needs to be left out of it, unless you just truly don't value that person and you truly never want to speak to them again. I already mentioned validate people's feelings, acknowledge, I'm sorry that you feel this way, or I can understand how that can be hurtful. I can see your point of view. Really validate the person's emotions. Like I said, apologize. Don't be so arrogant that you cannot apologize to somebody. And then agree to disagree. Sometimes you're not going to agree with everything, and that is okay to do that. And then also try to avoid subjects that are triggering. Um, Sometimes you're just going to have those subjects that are off limits and you shouldn't even speak of. And for me, I realized that was probably my first mistake with this particular situation that I went through. I should have never said anything about black men not being my top choice, which it is the truth. However, um, I knew how she would feel about that. And so I should have just taken the high road in that situation and just kept it to myself, which I have all these years. So a lot of people, a lot of the things that I have said over the past probably 2 years have come as a shock to quite a few people, just because they think all of this stuff is new. When no, I've really been feeling like this for the majority of my life, and I had been swirling since I was like 19 years old, but I just never really talked about it because, again, I know how certain people get about stuff like this. So, yeah, if you have subjects that are hot or going to push one of your friends' buttons, just don't talk about them. So, I want to hear from you, ladies. Do you all feel that sisterhood is possible in 2019? Do you all have a strong sisterhood? Have you ever had a fallout with a sister friend and made amends or whatnot? I think that is really funny too to see with all the level up groups. It's kind of funny. I was making a joke in one of the groups I belong to. I was like, listen, we need to all learn how to get along because we're all going to end up in the same level up groups together. It's hilarious to me to see, women that get in like little attitudes and then they'll leave one group and then you'll see them join another group. Or I'm just like, ladies, let's just get along. We're going to all end up in the same groups eventually at some point. So, anyways, drop a comment. I want to hear from you, ladies, on this subject. Especially if you've had a fallout with a sister friend and you've made amends, just drop a comment. I would love to hear about it from you, ladies. Anyways, you all take care. Have a beautiful rest of your day or evening, wherever you are on the planet listening to this. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, and also follow me on Instagram. I will leave the information for my Instagram in the description box. That way you can see a lot more of me and my journey here in Rome, Italy. All right, you ladies, take care and stay blissfully feminine. Ciao.